Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's 5 o'clock on a Saturday evening and I've just come back from a drive around Parho Market, and I've come to the conclusion that not one fucking person in this town knows what lane discipline is. Absolutely terrible. Even a barangay car took my lane. It always seems to be at T-junctions, whether you're on the T-junction or you're approaching the T-junction. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't matter what lane you're in, someone will get in your way. It's absolutely unbelievable. I come on the main carriageway and there's a big crossroads and I'm waiting to turn left. There is a gap in the traffic, so I turn left, and woe and behold, on the lane that I am going to go into, a barangay car cut over my lane, and then another idiot carrying water bottles followed him. And I was stuck in the middle, waiting for these two idiots to get into the other lane, which was full because the traffic lights was red. So they held up everybody. It's unbelievable. But anyway, that's not one of the main... Oh yes, another reason is, have you ever driven with a Filipino as a passenger, especially one that can't drive? What a fucking nightmare. They're telling you to do this and do that and they can't even drive them fucking selves. They say to me, don't worry about overtaking. I said, I'm not. I'm checking my mirrors because I'm coming in, going over to the right. I'm checking my mirrors for motorbikes. You know, there's no lane discipline. They stop in the middle of a bloody lane. They cross over. I've learned a lesson though. Don't get too close to these fucking tricycles because they just stop in the middle of the road and absolutely do nothing. But anyway, a bit of Shakespeare today, guys. To tint or not to tint? That is the question. As you know, I've just bought this cheap Japanese car just to get used to the traffic over here before I decide to venture into a much more expensive car. And the other night I had to go out to a store, and in a way I'm glad I did, because it taught me one thing. Even though I wear glasses in the car, I'm fucking blind, because the tint on the windscreen is that dark that I could hardly see anything out of it, even with my lights on. So the next time I go to the garage, I'm going to ask them to remove the tint. And also the side windows. You can't even look through the side mirrors. And I know a lot of people cut little gaps out of the window so they can see the side mirror. But, you know, I can understand people having tints because it's a hot country. But some of the tints, you can't even see in. And this, what I believe, is one of the problems that the police are having. I believe there was a new tint law coming out within the Philippines, and I don't know whether it's actually come out yet or not. But according to the police, they find it very hard to find criminals or see if anyone's wearing a seatbelt or anything like that, simply because they can't see inside the car. Now, let's face it, you could have an 8-year-old kid driving the car, go past the police and wave, and the police wouldn't even know nothing about it. I think, you know, something has to be done with the tints, and I've looked at other cars, and my tint on my windscreen is quite dark compared to other tints as well. So I think I actually will get the tint done. Another thing that I noticed, that even in the evening, you know, there's still no lane discipline. I was approaching a junction, I was in the right-hand lane, which is the correct lane, and I wanted to turn left. So I checked my mirrors, I indicated, and as I was coming up to the junction, this motorbike that was on the road I wanted to join was turning left into my road, and he cut across my lane. Yeah, I could have just been quite simply driving down without a care in the world and not even notice him, and and I would have probably hit him. You know, I think it's a must to have cameras in your car here, front and rear cameras, because, you know, being a foreigner, I don't know whether you're going to be exposed if you're in an accident and they say, well, you're not experienced enough of blah, blah, blah. But if you have a camera and at least footage of the incident, at least you may stand some form of security within the courts. That I don't know, or you have to pay the family money. But you know, it's a very dodgy thing. But the lane discipline here, I don't even know if they've all passed their tests. But you know, I took a test here and it took 10 minutes and I didn't even get out of second gear. I don't know whether it's because I've got over 50 years driving experience. But when you've got someone in the car with you that can't drive, they talk to you as if you're pissing stupid. I mean, I've got a bus license, I've got HGV1 license, I was an HGV instructor in the army and everything else. I know how to drive and I am cautious. I do check my mirrors and signal, but even indicators here are an optional extra. They're absolutely fucking terrible. They do not know how to use them. And I'm learning now that where there's a gap, one has to go. And that seems to be the motto here. You know, if there's a gap in the road, you get in there. Don't matter whether you're holding up the rest of the traffic or anything else, you just get in there. Whether it's your lane or not, just fucking move in there and stay there. And another thing, I came out of the bus terminal at the beginning of my journey, and the traffic warden that we have here stopped the traffic and let me out, and I wanted to get over to the left-hand lane because 100 metres down the road I was going to turn left. Anyway, there was a gap between this car and a white car, so I had my window down because I can't see otherwise, and I waved to the guy in the white car that was behind me, or at the side of me, but would eventually be behind me. I waved to him and if he could let me in, and he let me in so much. And then I couldn't even see him. It could have been an alien with two heads, if all I know, because I couldn't even see him. Anyway, I assumed that it was okay for me to get in that lane in front of him. But then as the traffic started to move off, he started to move off as well, and he became at the side of me. And eventually, what I thought he was going to do was wind his window down and just give me a mouthful. But anyway, even if it had, I would have just kept quiet. And then he stopped. And then I just went in front of him. But I don't know whether he didn't see me the first time or anything else, but this is the problem here. With tinted windows, you cannot see the person behind the wheel. You cannot see any acknowledgement from them to let you go or wave or fingers up or anything like that. Fucking nothing. Absolutely nothing. No wonder there's accidents here, and especially with motorbikes. They just weave in and out, in and out, in and out, and you do have to be careful here. There's no doubt about it, especially around the market where I go in publisher market in Paho. Jeepneys, they just stop in the middle of the road to let someone out or in. Even on a narrow road, they stop and everyone's held up. Like I said before in another video, tricycles. Fucking nightmare, tricycles, the drivers. And another, talking about tricycles, I left my parking space in the bus terminal and was just driving down to the main road, and this tricycle just fucking done a U-turn straight in front of me. Luckily I was watching and I stopped, and luckily he saw me and stopped. We was about a metre away from each other. I was a metre away from smashing into the side of him if he had not stopped. because these tricycles do not look. They just do a U-turn and that's it. You know, they are tunnel visioned. Every driver here is tunnel visioned. I'm not saying every driver, because you normally find that the ones that got quite a nice decent car are quite careful and indicate and everything else. But the majority of people, tunnel visioned, don't indicate, no lane discipline, just go where there's a gap. Stop where you want to. Fuck everybody else, just stop where you want to, guys. That's the motto, that's the way to drive here. And again, I would like your views on tinted windows, because I looked up on the web and I believe there is some law where they're gonna define what type of tinted windows you can have on a car. But unbelievable, guys, absolutely. I'm gonna get rid of my tints because I just don't like them. I've never had, I had tinted windows in Kazakhstan, but they were very, very slight tint. But the headlights on my Lexus was you know, halogen, and they were bright as anything. These headlights on the Japanese cars, I think, are just little 60-watt bulbs, I think. You know, no, it's, wow, what can you do? It's another fun day in the Philippines, another day that I have survived, but fucking hell, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. When I park up in my parking space in the terminal, there's a sigh of relief that I've fucking made it in one piece. But anyway, that's the reason why I bought a cheap car, to get used to the traffic, and believe me, I'm glad that I did. So I'll advise anyone to do that if they're coming for the Philippines for the first time and driving on these roads for the first time. Don't go out and buy a brand spanking new car for $1 million, $1.5 million. Just buy a cheapie and get used to it. If it gets scratched or bumped, well, it doesn't matter. If you have a brand new one, you're going to cry your eyes out if it gets scratched on the first day. But anyway, guys, thanks for listening. I should have asked you at the beginning to please like and subscribe. I'm up to what? I think 476. Then it went down to 474. So people are coming and going, and I don't really understand why. But anyway, I'll carry on. I enjoy it. Like I said, it's a hobby, not a necessity. So have a nice day, guys. Have a nice weekend, and safe driving, you guys. Safe driving.